It all started with a small bracelet, one black thread, one silver charm, and a promise carved into their hearts. Never fight again. But promises, like fragile glass, sometimes shatter in the hands of life itself. Every time Lila, the kind-hearted black-faced sister, reached out, the white-faced, sharp-tongued Arya pushed back, her attitude sharper than a blade. The hallway smelled of burnt toast, laughter hiding hurt, and the air thick with unspoken anger. That bracelet, once a symbol of unity, now trembled on Lila's wrist as if it knew the storm was coming. And when the moment came, life tested them in ways neither could imagine. Will their promise hold, or will the bond break forever? The morning sun peeked through the cracked blinds, painting golden streaks across Lila's room. She sat on the edge of her bed, fingers tracing the delicate bracelet that had once been a symbol of sisterhood. Memories of laughter, shared secrets, and whispered dreams crowded her mind. Yet, underneath it all, a small tension lingered, like a storm cloud refusing to drift away. Arya had woken late again, stomping down the hall with her usual careless grace, tossing her designer backpack onto the floor and scowling at the spilled cereal. Lila sighed. She remembered the day they had made the promise, a solemn pact under the old oak tree in the park. No more fighting. Ever. Arya had said, though the hint of a smirk betrayed her playful arrogance. And Lila, naive and trusting, had believed her. Days passed in a fragile rhythm. Lila, with her gentle heart, tried endlessly to bridge the gap, to smile, to forgive every sharp word. Arya, meanwhile, carried an invisible shield of pride and stubbornness. She laughed at things she shouldn't, ignored pleas she pretended not to hear, and wore her ego like armor. Friends watched silently, noticing how Lila's shoulders drooped under the weight of constant frustration, while Arya flaunted her victories, both big and small, with smug delight. Yet, in quiet moments, when the house was still, and only the bracelet glinted softly in the sunlight, Lila wondered if the promise still had power. Could a simple thread survive the silent battles, the harsh words, the jealousy? The test came sooner than expected. Their parents had invited a distant cousin for the weekend, a boy known for teasing and poking fun at everyone. Lila tried to prepare herself, speaking softly to Arya. "We have to stay calm. Remember the bracelet." Arya only laughed, tossing her hair. "Oh, please, calm is boring." The cousin arrived, and immediately the storm began. Arya, with her sharp tongue, targeted the cousin's awkwardness, while Lila tried to step in, smoothing over tensions, biting her lip at every cruel word. And then it happened. A careless push, an accidental knock over a vase, and the tension exploded like lightning striking dry wood. Arya shouted, Lila cried, and the bracelet seemed to twist painfully around Lila's wrist as though it, too, felt the strain of their faltering promise. Yet, in the chaos, something shifted. Lila, holding back tears, looked straight into Arya's eyes. There was a flash of recognition, a silent plea to remember the bond they had sworn to protect. Arya hesitated, a twitch of guilt flickering behind her smirk. But the moment passed, and the day went on, both sisters retreating into their private thoughts. That night, as stars dotted the sky like scattered diamonds, Lila lay awake, replaying every argument, every hurtful word, wondering if love alone could hold a promise together when life refused to be kind. The morning after the vase incident, the house was quiet, almost too quiet. Lila woke to the soft hum of the city outside her window, her bracelet catching the sunlight like a tiny warning bell. Her heart ached, not just from the fight, but from a creeping fear that maybe their promise had been too fragile for the storms of life. She tiptoed past Arya's closed door, remembering the cruel words and the laughter that had cut deeper than knives. Arya, meanwhile, was sprawled on her bed, scrolling through her phone, pretending the previous day's tension hadn't existed. She smirked at memes and videos, but deep down, a small knot of unease twisted inside her. That bracelet, the one she had smirked at countless times, now burned in her memory. She remembered their promise. No more fighting. Ever. And for the first time, the weight of it settled heavy on her chest. The day at school brought no relief. Gossip spread through hallways like wildfire. Their friends whispered about the fight, their voices sharp and accusatory, yet full of curiosity. Lila moved silently, offering smiles that felt hollow, while Arya strutted, but each laugh was a little too loud, a little too forced. When the gym teacher announced a surprise team project, Lila's stomach dropped. They were paired together, as always, and the project would determine the class grade. A tiny voice in her mind whispered, "This is the test." The first moments in the classroom were tense. Arya flipped her hair and muttered sarcastic comments under her breath. Lila bit her lip, resisting the urge to snap back. She remembered the bracelet, its fragile thread, its tiny silver charm, and its promise. Taking a deep breath, she said softly, "We can do this, together. Let's just focus on the project." Arya rolled her eyes, but didn't respond. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating, yet oddly charged with unspoken emotion. As the project progressed, subtle signs of rivalry emerged. Arya wanted to take charge, her ego demanding attention, while Lila tried to mediate, suggesting ideas, smoothing over disagreements. Tension sparked again when their teacher, Ms. Carlyle, praised one of Arya's suggestions. A flash of envy crossed Lila's mind, but she swallowed it. This isn't worth breaking the promise for, she thought. Yet Arya noticed a slight hesitation in Lila's eyes and interpreted it as mockery. Her temper flared silently. The turning point came unexpectedly. During lunch, a fire alarm blared. Panic spread as students scrambled. Lila grabbed Arya's hand instinctively, dragging her toward the nearest exit. The chaos outside was worse. Smoke and alarms, screams and confusion. They reached the school courtyard breathless, hearts pounding. In that moment, the tension of weeks dissolved, replaced by raw survival instinct. Arya stumbled, and Lila caught her, holding her tight. For the first time in weeks, Arya felt vulnerability wash over her. The smirk faded. The pride melted. Lila whispered, trembling, "We promised, Arya, no more fighting. Not like this." Arya's eyes softened, the anger she carried evaporating in the heat of the moment. She looked at the bracelet, shining against Lila's wrist, and felt an overwhelming mix of shame and relief. Maybe kindness isn't weakness, she thought. Maybe love is stronger than ego. The days that followed were a delicate dance. Arya didn't immediately change. Her attitude was still sharp, her sarcasm still present. But the tension eased. Lila's consistent kindness, her unwavering patience, began to chip away at the walls Arya had built around herself. The bracelet, once fragile, became a symbol of resilience. Every time they faced a challenge, a disagreement, a test, a social slight, they remembered it, tightened it around their bond, and chose each other over pride. Life, however, was relentless. The true test came when a family crisis hit. Their father's job threatened, the house in jeopardy. Stress and fear could have torn them apart, yet Lila and Arya found themselves leaning on each other. Arya, finally acknowledging the value of her sister's kindness, offered support, while Lila, as always, forgave mistakes and extended love. The bond that had once seemed breakable now carried the weight of shared hardship. Moments of victory followed. Their project won the school competition. Their classmates cheered, and for the first time, Arya allowed herself to smile without the usual arrogance. Lila felt warmed in her chest, realizing that keeping a promise isn't about perfection. It's about persistence, forgiveness, and courage. The bracelet, now worn and slightly tarnished, glinted in the sunlight as they hugged. No words needed. Life had tested their bond, and they had survived, stronger and wiser. The chapter closes with a quiet evening. The two sisters sit on the park bench where it all began, the bracelet between them. Lila speaks softly. "We made it. Despite everything, we made it." Arya nods, her pride tempered by newfound respect. "Yes," she admits, almost in a whisper. "And I'm sorry. I didn't see it before, but I do now." The sunset paints the sky in hues of orange and purple, reflecting the transformation in their hearts. The promise, once broken in anger, had been reforged in love. Life has a way of testing the bonds we hold most dear. Promises, especially those made in moments of innocence and hope, are fragile, yet their strength is revealed not in calm times but in storms. The broken bracelet promise teaches us that relationships, particularly the ones closest to our hearts, require patience, understanding, and above all, kindness. Lila, the black-faced sister, embodied unwavering compassion, demonstrating that empathy and consistent love can reach even the most guarded hearts. Arya, the white-faced sister, represented pride, ego, and the tendency to let attitude overshadow true connection. Their journey shows that no amount of arrogance or stubbornness can withstand the quiet power of sincere care. Forgiveness is not an instant act, but a deliberate choice repeated over time. Lila's willingness to forgive Arya, even when hurt repeatedly, highlights a universal truth. Human bonds are maintained through continuous effort, not just promises made in fleeting moments. This teaches viewers that holding grudges or letting ego dominate interactions only widens emotional distance, whereas kindness, patience, and empathy act as bridges, reconnecting even the most fractured relationships. In a world often dominated by quick judgments and social pressures, choosing compassion over retaliation is a radical, transformative act. Another powerful lesson is the importance of perspective. Arya's transformation came not from force or punishment, but from experiencing moments that demanded vulnerability. Life will test everyone in unexpected ways. Challenges, crises, or conflicts reveal the true character of individuals. By observing Lila's consistent behavior, Arya learned to recognize the difference between shallow pride and genuine strength. This mirrors real life. We cannot change others by argument or anger, but our actions and attitude can inspire reflection and growth. The story also highlights the enduring power of small symbols. A fragile bracelet, seemingly insignificant, became a constant reminder of commitment, love, and accountability. In our own lives, tangible or symbolic reminders of promises, intentions, or values can help us navigate difficult moments. They serve as anchors, reinforcing what truly matters when emotions threaten to derail us. Lila and Arya's bracelet teaches us that even small, simple gestures can hold enormous emotional weight when paired with intent and consistency. Ultimately, the moral is clear. Human relationships are the most valuable assets we possess, but they require intentionality, forgiveness, and unwavering care. Pride and ego may challenge us, and life will inevitably test the strength of our bonds. Yet with patience, empathy, and the courage to keep promises, even the most fractured relationships can heal and flourish. True strength is not in domination or winning arguments, but in the ability to love, forgive, and rebuild. This story is a reminder that no matter how many times bonds are tested, choosing connection over conflict, kindness over pride, and patience over resentment creates lasting, meaningful relationships, the kind that withstands time, trials, and life itself.